button.
Here we are.
Yes, here we go, live from Long Island, New York. It's Love, Death, and Taxes. Ask you some more questions today. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you for asking. Let's hope that we can
Are
have
you
this
ready
show
for it?
without interruptions from the storm.
Okay, cool. It's well, we have an interesting time happening, and everything that's going on in the news and here with us. Let's get going. Uh, hmm. Wow, we were a little sluggish today, but it's okay. We'll figure it out. Figure it out. Hi, how are you doing again, Agnes? I'm Ryan O'Neill Williams, and my lovely co-host is Agnes Amisano. Agnes is a certified relationship coach, and so as a result, as we've been doing this show, I'll ask you a question, or you'll provide some advice. I don't necessarily have to ask, and I'm realizing you're a great resource for this kind of thing. And so we have a bunch of questions here, and the idea would be to provide you with those so that you can answer. But I also, it's Olympic week. They've been doing the Olympics for almost 2 weeks at this point, and from a relationship standpoint, I just saw this in the news. I didn't even realize that this was happening, but it says the Paris Olympics. And Paris is wild. They've been having all sorts of interesting conversations about what's going on in Paris, regardless. But Paris Olympics provided, Agnes, 300,000 condoms for athletes staying in the Olympic field. 300,000. And it says this included 200,000 male condoms, 20,000 female condoms, and themed and featured messages such as ask for consent, don't share more than victory, score a win, yes to consent, no to STDs. And I'm just like, they went all out, and they provide us. And I get it. They're very attractive young people, right? They're in the top shape of what they could be, right? So they're having, but I can see them starting to send you questions, relationship questions, after spending 2 weeks at the Olympic Village, right?
Well, listen, city of love. What else can you do? Enjoy yourself, enjoy the victory, right? But do you know that actually they have
Mhm.
a quite a long list of those messages that they were rejected to put on those
Oh,
condoms? Yeah,
okay. Do you?
yeah, they were quite funny. Actually, I heard on one of the shows um, of those messages. They were like, okay, but yeah, they were rejected. They were more straightforward to the ones that they used actually.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, you want to be careful because
Better be
you
safe
want to
than
get in all
sorry. That's
kinds
all I
of
have to say. Come back home only with that
trouble.
gold or silver or bronze instead future family or STD.
Yeah, exactly. Now you come home with a new family, new family is coming home with you. Not just gold, silver, and bronze. Not just a medal, but now you're
I
coming
mean,
home
I brought
with a new
I have
kid.
this
We'll see.
gold or
All right,
silver,
so
and there is my second wife, and we are expecting another child. So there you go.
it's my new baby.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Here comes the thruple. We're so new age. All right, so ladies and gents, we're going to do this again. We've been doing this for a while now, and I want to introduce to you this newer segment that we do. We're basically Ask Agnes. And we're going to get some music for you, Agnes. Ask Agnes. But we're going to go into the mailbag. We're going to go into the mailbag and pull some out of here. And Agnes, I'm going to provide them for you. So first question is about blended family tension. It says, Agnes, I'm in my early 40s and recently my husband and I both have kids from previous marriages, and while we get along great, our kids are struggling to blend as a family. That's probably very common, right? There's a lot of tension, and I'm worried it's affecting our relationship. How can we help our kids adjust while keeping our marriage strong? And this is from Sarah. So Sarah is asking, how do you keep our marriage strong even while we're having the struggling to blend as a family?
That's a very common problem in blended families because there's a lot of aspects that you have to look at. Kids will be looking if for favors from their parents. If they don't like the new partner
Mhm.
of their parent, they might try to a little bit manipulate the relationship and turning one against the other, you know, or one of the partners might be more disciplinarian than the other. So it's very difficult for kids to accept new rules and regulations, which they have to be introduced to at the very beginning of, when they're moving in. This is what's going to be like. But no matter, all the children might accept that faster, but it is very difficult for younger children, much more difficult. There will be jealousy um, between two families, between children from both families. Who loves me more? I can do this because my mom will let me. I can do this because my dad will let me. And it's very dangerous situation for those two partners that they trying to hold on to each other. Trying to hold on to their love. It's very, very difficult situation. Structure is very important. Actually, just recently I was thinking about that, how people from that they live in certain cultures, Roma culture, Jewish culture, there's certain structure of living. There's a plan. You're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this, you're doing that, right? And there is no going outside the box. So structure is extremely important to life. And I was thinking that if this is really actually very important, or this is maybe just you giving up your freedom, your right to choose to do whatever you wish, the more that I get, I truly believe the structure is very, very important because it will there will be no hidden agenda. You know what to expect. There will be no surprises. In Sarah's situation, you don't know. You can only hope that everyone will get along, right? You meeting someone, you falling in love, and you hoping that everything's going to work out. But then kids are kids. Either they're going to manipulate, because there's a lot of, I saw that in my lifetime, a lot of manipulation, try to steer and use their parent feelings against the other and use in their favor. And there will be, why you talking to my child this way, or you're not my father, you're not my mother. There will be a lot of, you can expect a lot of problems. So if they can survive that, if two partners can survive that, they can survive anything, because I think this is the worst and the most difficult situation they can have. So structure, and hold on to structure, it's very, very important. This is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to discuss, this is what we're going to do for us as family. This is what we're going to make our decisions based on welfare of the family. If this is, we're doing this for kids, we're doing for yours and mine. We're not doing this for yours and mine. Try to treat them exactly the same. And a lot of times I would just say start with the therapy, family therapy. It's very, very important. Family therapy in the situation, because no matter how good you want it to be, how good stepmother or stepfather you're trying to be. You're not going to avoid problems. There will be always some kind of issue. We are not all the same. We want what we want, right? But family therapy, it's very important. If you are
Yeah,
having problems,
and
Sarah, if
not
you're,
only
go ahead.
no, keep going.
If you guys are struggling, if you see that this is a potential problem, that might create that you might lose each other, then definitely start the family therapy sooner rather than later. So one thing that I'll keep repeating to each and every couple, I saw too many of couples having falling out because of their children. Guess what happens when children grow up? They will leave your home, they'll start their own families as they should, and two people stays alone. And then where are you guys? If you don't have that strong friendship by then you're staying alone in your later age, and you are lonely, and you are lonely. So don't mess up your marriage, don't
Exactly.
mess up your relationship because of problems with kids.
I completely agree with you. And I want to point out that even though this is a blended family or not, it really doesn't matter. Um, Co-parenting should probably be something that everybody initiates within their family if you have children, because we used my my previously significant other and I had children together, and we had a situation where we would just hunky dory. Whoever did it, and whatever was there was just done. But now that we are exes and we're in a situation where we didn't want to argue about that, we went out of our way to create co-parenting rules. And you can look them up, you can Google them online. You don't have to come to me, or you can go to a therapist, or a counselor, and figure that out if you want. We did both things. We looked online and we went to a counselor, and we even got an app or whatever. But bottom line is, you have a structure, just like Agnes was saying, if you have a structure, you know exactly who it is, does what, when you do it, and then certain things. Like, for example, let's tell you an example. Always, always drop off the kids, never pick up the kids. So there's just a different kind of situation that happens when you come to pick up, and maybe the kids aren't coming out fast enough, maybe they're not ready, maybe the person was busy, but you take it as an affront if you were there at 5 o'clock and the person didn't provide the kids at 5. And if you're late and the person was waiting on you to come pick up the kid, it's also a problem. But if you're dropping off, it just becomes less of an issue. There are these little tricks that you would never think of, but because other people have dealt with them before, and that's one of the greatest things about the internet and about books and about us as humans, we can learn from other people's problems and not necessarily have to adopt them into our situation, because there is so no matter what you do, someone out there has dealt with a similar problem, maybe not exactly the same thing, but a similar problem previously. And all you got to do is find that person, or what they've written down. Maybe, I don't know, subscribe to their YouTube channel where they're giving advice, uh, or, or read their book when it comes out. Who knows? But you can find these problems, answers to these problems somewhere out there. All right. So what's our next person is saying? Hey, Agnes, I'm 25. Hold on a sec. Let's see if we can get that popping up. Yeah, there it is. I'm 25 and dating this amazing girl, but we seem to have completely different love languages. Oh my gosh. I'm all about words of affirmation, while she's more into acts of service. I feel like we're not connecting as deeply as we could. How can we bridge this gap and make sure we both feel loved and appreciated? And this is from David. I always think that that's
Not
the
mine,
love
right?
language thing is It, it's complicated. That just the idea of it can be complicated. But I did read the book. I read the book. I've got the five love languages. I read it a long time ago. I have it leather bound and read it, because I'm like a relationship guy. So yes, I read it. But what do you think, Agnes? How can he broach that words of affirmation versus acts of service and connecting as deeply as they can?
It's simply about that they are expressing themselves in different ways. So, and understanding that again, we're coming back to community. When you see something that you don't understand, or you think that this is not enough for you, um, well, address that. And then when you're finding out that this is just different, like I see, there's so many times I keep repeating this, that people use different words saying exactly the same thing. There can be an argument, and people will argue about the same thing, and they just don't hear each other just because they use different words and they don't express themselves the same way. I used to have relationship like that. This is so common problem. But you know what? If you actually sit down and you explain yourself, you know, don't count on changing someone. You have to
Mhm.
accept your partner for the way they are and accept their ways. This is not a child you can influence. A teenager you can influence how they should act and what they say, but not a grown person. So if you love that special someone, accept for what they are, but understand, have the conversation that, okay, I think this is, not good enough for me, or I don't feel fulfilled. Why you saying this? Why you doing that? I'm doing all this for you. Why you not? I feel like I'm not getting it back. And you're gonna feel like horses behind when you find out, like, listen, those things I did it for you because I want to express myself to you. That's how I express my love. So there'll be like a big aha moment, like, oh, okay, I thought that you're just doing this or that or whatever. It's talk to each other, explain yourself ahead of time. Okay, this is what I'm doing. I want to do this for you. Why? Because, and this is the reason. It doesn't have to be the end of relationship. It doesn't have to be a big problem. It's just something that you guys have to discuss. That's all. And accept. Don't try to change someone. Accept your partner for what they are. And if you don't like their ways, then maybe that person is not for you. But that doesn't have to be a reason when you feel unappreciated, you don't feel loved. Especially if you don't feel loved and appreciated, this obviously it's a deep problem. So you have to have a conversation, sit down and listen. This is an issue for me. I feel that way. And then you find out that actually that's not the way it is, that you being loved is just that someone is telling you that they love you different ways. Just simply simple conversation can change that. Now
Yeah.
if there's a conflict of, obviously, if they missing each other, there's a conflict of communication. It's not as simple as sitting down and conversing. Oh, okay, so that's the way it is. And that could be beginning of a drama. What do you mean I don't love you? Of course I love you. Are you blind? That could be, I can see a lot of things happening here. But for situations like that, usually I will advise people to have a special place in their house. Sometimes we do that. We start that with the rose ceremony at the wedding. Have a special corner or a chair or some place where, first of all, if you don't talk to each other, you have quiet days. And if you see a rose in that special place, then know that the person, one of the partners wants to talk, right? So that could be that special
Okay.
safe place where you can express yourself but without screaming and yelling, having open conversation without judgment and without anger.
Yes.
So, to avoid unnecessary stress, just have a special, it doesn't have to be a rose. Uh, Put the white napkin, something,
A signal.
some,
Yeah.
some signal,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
symbol, signal, anything.
I've heard of people. I've heard of people who light a candle or they burn incense. So as soon as you come in the room, you can smell it. You know, oh, okay, this person wants to talk to me. They want my attention.
Yeah.
I've seen
Yes,
that before.
something like
Yes.
that. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
difficult. If you are, sitting down and talking would have been the easiest way. But obviously, if David is looking for um, answer from us, then the conversation might not be as easy as one might think. So if let's establish this first in the relationship. Listen, if there will
Yeah.
be any situation that I would like to discuss certain thing without any judgment, without any argument, without any drama, let's set up that special corner in a house or special place in a house where you guys can just talk, promise each other that it's going to be just a conversation, establish a signal or something like that, and let's move on with that, and let's try to communicate a little bit better.
Nice. 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 Okay. All right. So here's our third, and I think this is going to be it for today. Uh, ooh, this is a tough one, Agnes, because this is not traditional. Uh, Agnes, my boyfriend and I have been in an open relationship for about a year. At first, it was great, but recently I've started feeling insecure and jealous when he sees other people. I don't want to end the relationship, but I'm struggling to handle these feelings. How can we make this work without hurting each other? Says Sam. They, them. That could be a guy, could be a girl. Doesn't matter. I think it's interesting that we are at this place in our society where we can talk about this kind of thing because it does happen more often than not. But it's interesting. Like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, this would just be like a guy who has multiple girlfriends or boyfriends. You know what I mean? It would just be a person who is dating, technically. But now I, you can go to a person and say, "Hey, I'm not really want to be specific. I want to go around with other people." And you can say yes to that, but then this is what happens, right? Tell me, Agnes, how can you make this work without hurting each other? She says.
Well, this is having an open relationship. It's all fun and nice at the very beginning, and then you either start developing feelings for someone else, which is a
Mhm.
beginning of the end of the original relationship, or we having situation as of feeling insecure and jealous. Usually I see, actually I experienced that with some of my clients. A person who told that feels unappreciated, let's say a wife who feels, okay, my husband doesn't pay enough attention to me, let him show, I will show him that I can have everybody or a lot of boyfriends and let him feel that he might lose me. I had a couple like this. And then guess what? She wasn't as successful in securing the other people where he had many, many, many interests all over the place. And it's like blowing back in her face, right? Or there's a lot, just like inviting trouble into a relationship, just like we were discussing about work wife and work husband, which I don't advise and I do not
Yes.
believe that that should even exist. Have friends, but don't give them those titles. Um,
See last
so
week's episode.
yes, yes. without hurting each other again. You're gonna have to be vulnerable with your partner. You're gonna have to be vulnerable and let him know that, listen, I don't want to do this anymore. And then
Right.
he's gonna have to make it his mind if he wants to continue, or your relationship that just the two of you, it's more important to him. And the choices will have to be made. Otherwise, you're going to continue hurting yourself if you're going to allow this to go much longer. Um,
Right.
he might find someone else, or how do you know? Maybe he's not really into this open relationship himself. Maybe he's bored. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe actually he feels the same way. So, how are you going to find out? By
Yeah.
opening
You
yourself
light
up.
your candle, or you light your candle, or you burn your incense, and then you have that talk. That's what
And
you need to
have that
do,
talk.
Sam.
I know it's going to be very difficult. It's not an easy, it's not an easy situation when you just dating or you are living together for a couple of years, because there's lack of that permanent commitment. Um, see, marriage brings something into relationship, that finality. It's not like, oh, life is over. No, it's like, okay, this is my partner to whom I can trust. I can open myself up.
Right.
He's That partner's going to be there by my side, and I can be vulnerable. I can, that mental intimacy. It's more important than physical. So to being able to open yourself up to your partner and be vulnerable, this is the beautiful thing if you can do that. So you're going to have to take that risk, and you're going to have to sit down and open yourself up, and otherwise you're going to be hurting yourself. You're going to hurt yourself, and that can bring so many issues, mental, physical issues. You can fall into depression. This is really not worth it. We cannot continue something that is hurting us, that we don't like to do that.
Right.
you know
Right.
Relationship, it's not about having being forced into things, into accepting things. That's why the communication is extremely, extremely important. You have to be vulnerable with your boyfriend and sit down and tell him, you know what, the way I feel, tell him, I want you to myself. I cannot continue this. I want you to myself. So please make up your mind if you're going to. Am I? And then it's nice to see if maybe you'll find out that you are a lot more important than anybody else that he's seeing, and that will just bring them closer together.
My question to you was going to be simply, do you think this person, because Sam is saying, how can we make this work without hurting each other? But you think that basically is a person is saying, I feel insecure and jealous because they're ready to settle down with that one person, right? That's basically what it is. Because
Obviously.
it's contradictory. So they're saying they want to do it without hurting one another, but it seems that if you're insecure and jealous, that means you just want to be with that one person. So cut it out. Or what if Sam's um, other significant other comes back and says, "Oh, no, 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 I don't want to be individual. I want to keep on going with other people." Then what does Sam do then, Agnes?
Well, if her partner is not ready to just pay attention to that one person, you cannot force him. That's not going to be it's like forcing someone, be with me and only mine, but that person is not ready. So you cannot, if you love someone, let them free. If they yours, will come back. Simple as that. It's very difficult choice. Simple in words, very difficult in action. But you
It
cannot
is.
force someone into relationship. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Being in a relationship, that means both of the partners should be ready for that commitment, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. If you're not ready, then don't do this open thing. But if you're ready and you're talking about being insecure and jealous, that means you just want that one person. Ladies and gents, thank you so very much, Agnes. Agnes is our our resident Dr. Ruth, who we're honoring her because she passed away recently. But I love the fact that you're able to on the spot, ladies and gents. Believe me, trust me, trust me, trust me. I'm doing this live. I'm asking her right away. I'm not. I'm. She's pulling this right now and just presenting us with this. This is not happening because we rehearsed beforehand. We are live for a reason. Live generally here at 5. I want you to like and subscribe both this particular video, but also the channel, because what we're trying to do is reach people as possible with this advice as much as possible, and hope that you can enjoy it as well. We have no judgment, no judgment. If you have something to ask, you don't necessarily have to put your real name. You could use a pseudonym, and we'll use that. We won't necessarily use your real name. And if relationships is not your thing, you're looking for other problems that we have with love, death, and taxes, perhaps at nytaxresolutions.com. You want to check out what Agnes has there, because she can help you if your state, New York State, or federal tax issues. You want to check that out. You can do that as well. And if you have questions or you have a particular query for us, you can send it to us at mailbag@lovedeathandtaxes.com. Whoa, I went through a lot there, didn't I? You just hear me go, yep, 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 yep. It is what it is. Agnes, you have anything else for them before we head out?
Communication is the most important, and even if it hurts, you have to do it. Otherwise, you will never find out. And living in a lie or living with insecurities, it's just not the type of life that any should have. So
Ditto.
be vulnerable.
Ditto, ditto, ditto. Yeah, exactly. Try. Yeah, you got it. Listen, what I hear the guy. Well, somebody was saying it was a television show. The guy was like, "There is no love without some pain or some amount of vulnerability. It just doesn't exist. You have to put yourself out there, and sometimes your heart's on the outside and someone's crushing it, but it is what it is.
There's
You got to take that
one thing.
chance.
Yeah, one thing that I want to say. It's like we go to sleep with our partner. Okay. I think that this is the most vulnerable state that we are willingly putting ourselves in. We are unconscious. We are completely selfless. We are just falling to sleep beside that person that we choose, and then that's no problem. We're giving them our mind, our body, which that might hurt us at certain point if someone is there to hurt us, to get us, but we are afraid to open ourselves up
Right.
to a conversation, to simple conversation with words that we have control over. When we fall into sleep, we are in a state of complete oblivion, and they can kill us if they don't like us, but we are afraid of talking to each other,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
need help
It's
with talking, with communication.
it's amazing. It is actually amazing. If you think of it and put it like that, yeah, you're absolutely right. There should not be an issue with talking to someone. I mean, I know you're scared of what might happen at the end, but it's better that you have the conversation than not and start feeling resentment, fear, insecurity, all these different things that would mess the relationship, poison the relationship in the long run, right?
Exactly,
So, very well.
exactly.
Ladies and gents, thank you so very much for checking in with us here at Love, Death, and Taxes. And we'll see you next week. All right.
Yes.
Bye bye, Agnes.